Welcome to the WRAL Daily Download. I'm your host, Amanda Lamb. In today's deep dive conversation with WRAL 5 on Your Side reporter Keely Arthur, we're talking about a veteran who found out he owed thousands of dollars in back taxes after a mistake made by the company who prepared his taxes. Now, he wasn't getting anywhere, so he did what a lot of people do when they're frustrated by a consumer issue. He reached out to our 5 on Your Side team and Keely Arthur. Keely, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
So first of all, let's set the scene. Who is Greg Gidding?
He is a veteran who served for decades. He joined the Army during the Clinton administration, to give you a sense of how long he was in the military for, and have gone on 8 deployments, finally retired in 2018. He's a father, I think, of 3 children, and he and his wife are in the local area. And now he works for the American Legion, so still very connected to the military.
So he reached out to you, which a lot of people do, right? They call you, they email you. I mean, this is a common thing. For
yeah,
5 on
all
Your
the time.
Side.
All the time now. Like my phone, I'm sure someone will call me during our interview.
And it's hard because you have to figure out which stories to do. But this one caught your attention. And what did he tell you? He told you about his tax preparations for the past few years.
Yeah.
What did he tell you? How did that go for him?
So the way he called was really interesting. His wife called. He was considering taking legal action because of the situation. And his wife said, well, I'm going to call the news station. So she called me, left me a voicemail. I listened to it and immediately called her back. And I said what I say to all the people who want our help: send me documentation verifying what you're saying. And if it's all true, if what you're saying is true and you can verify it, we can step in and try to help you. So she called. We got to work. Basically, he had H&R Block had done his taxes in 2018. They made an error. And in a few years later, he received a letter from the IRS 10 days before Christmas saying, you owe us thousands of dollars because you should have been taxed on that and you didn't pay that.
And we're going to get into the details of why this mistake was made in the second half of the show. But just explain how this was compounded by the fact that he went on to do his own taxes, but he used the template they had given him in 2018 without questioning the background on that. And so this was compounded. This mistake went on for 3 years.
Right. And so 5 on Your Side, we were only going to go after 2018, which he agrees with. So 2018 is when H&R Block did his taxes in error. He used that template and how they filed to do his 2019 and 2020 taxes. So that compounded into 3 years of taxes owed that he hadn't paid on. He says, look, I will pay back and take total responsibility for 2019 and 2020, even though he was really following what H&R Block had done. But it was 2018 that he really took issue with because these are experts that he paid to do the job and it wasn't done correctly.
Well, we will be right back after the break with what happened next. Welcome back to the WRAL Daily Download. So after some digging, Gidding, who is a veteran, learned that his taxes were filed under something called the Bailey Act, and this was a mistake. So can you explain to us, what is this act, how is it applied to taxes, and why didn't it apply to him?
Yeah, it's a group of folks, basically veterans, people who were in the military, I think, who had 5 years of service prior to 1989. They qualify for the Bailey Act, which essentially made their retirements tax-free. North Carolina would tax retirement. The Bailey Act prevented this from happening for that certain group of veterans. But Gidding, he's 43. He was not in the military.
He was not in the military in
1989.
Yeah.
He was like, I was still a kid. But he didn't know this. I mean, he's not an accountant. He didn't look into it. He just thought, great, it's a way for me to not have to pay on this. And so H&R Block totally filed it in error through the Bailey Act. And I should say now, veterans do not have to pay taxes on their retirement in North Carolina from a law that was passed in 2021.
Right. So this happened obviously before that law was passed. So he ended up paying for the mistakes that were kind of transferred to him in 2019 and 2020 with this template. But he was hoping to get the money back for 2018. And he had something called the peace of mind guarantee. So what is that? And should it have come into play here?
Yeah. So if you Google peace of mind guarantee H&R Block, it's basically a $30 add-on that he had luckily purchased. And it essentially says, if we make a mistake on your taxes and it wasn't because you told us something incorrect, it was totally our mistake, because sometimes people just say something that's on their end.
Right.
But if we make the mistake, we will not only pay what the IRS says you really owe, we will refund you for the cost of our service. So he paid for the peace of mind guarantee in 2018, and it totally should have applied to this. But when he went back to them and said, hey, I have this letter from the IRS saying I shouldn't have qualified for the Bailey Act, you said I did, H&R Block gave him a lot of pushback and essentially said that there was a statute of limitations. But if you Google it, there's no statute of limitations. This is a lifetime guarantee. And that's why we got involved and went after that.
And I would imagine that this is a policy that other companies probably have as well, other tax preparers.
Yeah,
they might be
TurboTax
called something else, right?
Right. But it's something to look into. And I think it's a small price to pay, and it can cover you as long as the company honors it.
Okay, so you guys get involved, and what happened next?
So I knew, because of the thorough documentation, that they totally had a case. And I also knew that H&R Block was not going to want this in the news. I emailed, I said, veteran denied rightful reimbursement or something like that. And within 30 minutes, their PR team responded back, we're looking into this. We're going to try to fix this. And I think within a week of the Giddings calling us for help, they had the money back. They had what should have been paid to the IRS, covered by H&R Block, and then they had a refund for the price they paid for the service.
Right. And the initial, payment that he owed was $6,000, but part of that was the 2019 and 2020 that he then assumed. And you guys got the difference back from 2018.
I think the amount he owed from 2018 was around $1,900, and then the cost for the service was around $250. So it was a helpful amount of money that he got back.
Absolutely. And I would imagine that H&R Block is probably, glad to see this pointed out in a way, because now they can say, hey, we need to be really careful about this specific act and using this when we prepare taxes.
Yeah, I'm glad that we put it on their radar. He had worked with 2 local offices who told him that he had no case. And this is somebody who keeps meticulous notes, and he really felt like he did. And I think we put it on the radar. When Five on Your Side reaches out, we will generally reach out to the communications department of these corporations. So we reached out to wherever the communications team is for H&R Block. And I hope that they can use this as a way to know that when people pay for this, it is a lifetime protection that they're paying for.
Sure. And did they give you any response as to why this may have happened or anything like that?
No, they did not give an explanation. That more so just an apology and then the money. So it's really unclear. Sometimes people in the offices will interpret a policy in the wrong way, and it kind of just falls on that worker. But again, that's why you really should fight. If you believe that you have a case and you've been wronged, do not say, oh, well, this employee says I'm wrong.
Right. And in the end, they did the right thing. So that's the important thing here. So what is the takeaway? Obviously, this is very specific to veterans, but in a way, it's also specific to anybody who pays to get their taxes done, to make sure you have this peace of mind policy or whatever it's called in different companies, and then make sure that you read the fine print and that it will be able to apply to your case if there's a problem.
Yeah. And look at if it's worth paying for. Look at what kind of coverage you're going to get, how long you're going to get. We know the IRS can go back years and say, oh, actually, you owe us money. So make sure the policy you're paying for covers that. And I think that this is, while it's a veteran issue, the issue of people wanting certain to qualify for certain refunds and reimbursements. Like tax laws are constantly changing. We saw a lot of change through COVID. So I don't think if it's $30, I think it might be worth doing it as long as you know the company's going to honor it and it's a broad policy.
Absolutely. And was he thrilled, I would imagine, that you solved the problem, he and his wife?
He was like, leave it to my wife. Yeah. Because he didn't think to call. It was all her. And they were really happy. And I think a lot of times we've talked about this, Amanda, the people are excited, but they're also like relieved and kind of like, yeah, I should have always had this money to begin with. So I'm happy we could help with that.
And it's tangible. It's great to have a tangible ending like that.
Oh,
so,
yes.
Good job, Keely.
Thank
Just call
you.
Keely.
Call me.
Just call you. Thank you so much for sharing this story and letting people know what to look out for when they're filing their taxes. If you'd like to hear more episodes, please follow the WRAL Daily Download in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or just about anywhere you get your podcasts. Once you follow the show, you'll automatically get new episodes every weekday. Thanks for listening.